Bill is going to show about this chicken houses he's been building.
Okay, this is the second one I built, and I usually try to, the first one I built pretty big, but I usually try to make them about 4 by 8 approximately, just whatever the lumber is. This has come from the sawmill, and that particular sawmill, they leave a lot of meat on the slabs. They're anywhere from 3 to 4 inch slabs thick, and they're 8 to 9 inches wide, and they're usually about 9 foot long, so I can cut the ends off of them. And I start with the biggest ones I can find in this pile at the bottom, the foundation. But what I do in here, and this is all out of lumber from the sawmill that just scrap from slabs. I square these, this is a slab here, but I've knocked it down to like a 2x4 or a 4x4, whatever I can make out of it. I treat the bottom of it with asphalt or motor oil. Use motor oil. If you change your own oil, that'll work too, just to protect the bottom in the ground. For the supports around the interior for the framework. And this is just slabs here for the framework that I put all together. I just frame it all in first off on the 4 corners, and then set in a frame for what's going to be the doorway, however wide I want the doorway. And usually the doorways are about 24 inches. And do the framework for the roof. And then on the roof, when I first started doing these, I would buy plywood or something to put on the roof, and then sheet metal on top of that. I still use the sheet iron, but I started using the slabs. You just have to work with them a little bit because they're all uneven a little bit. You have to skin them a little bit to make it work, but it doesn't take much. And all that slab underneath the metal does is dampen the sound on a pour down rain.
Well, it keeps it warmer in the winter.
And it keeps it warmer. It's a little bit of insulation. This is the white that you see is just dog food or feed sacks. These new type are not really paper. They're kind of a plastic, woven plastic, and they seal out the wind real good.
They last a long time too.
I do install a window, and it's just chicken wire to keep them from going back and forth out. But that's for the summertime that I open it to let a breezeway through here, because it really gets hot. And we got them under these pine trees, but we still need some airflow. And in the wintertime,
oh, that made it much warmer.
We just shut it up, and it seals off real good. Keeps it somewhat warm in here, and the south sun, facing the south, the sun comes in and warms it up. These, the ramp for the chickens to come up to their roost, and all of this is just cut off of slabs. It's just what I can work with.
And they can walk up that easy.
And they get up that real easy. I used to build, a ladder roost, but that's just extra work. This is real simple, and it works good. And I can move this out of here when I go in here, because to pick up chicken manure, what we need to do right here, we've got a bunch building up. Out here on these slabs or logs, whatever you want to call them, I start with the biggest one I can on the very bottom, and it's attached to the framework. And I've got it all squared and leveled up here on top. And I alternate. One will go butt up on the inside, and the next one up will sit on top. And you can see it's just a crisscross. It helps a little bit with
I like the look too.
And the structure, and it looks better. And this is just something to catch the sheet iron on the edge. But this is all scrap material from slabs from the sawmill. There's a lot of little old sawmills around here and up in the mountains. Back several years ago, when the powers that be come down on the sawmills and just about decimated the logging industry, the same people that go out and buy 2x4s whined about cutting the trees down. And I believe in conservation and trying to save some, but if you're going to go buy 2x4s and 2x6s, you shouldn't whine about the trees. You know, that's just the way I feel.
Eating pencils and paper.
Yeah, pencils and paper. Build you a house out of mud. You know. Anyway, I did buy these sheeting here. This is siding.
They all got a door on them.
And it's a door. We hardly ever use it, but it will, where we can shut them up.
If it gets real cold, but it hadn't got that cold.
And I need to put I haven't finished this one. I was going to put like a pet door in there, but I'll make one out of wood where we can lock them up. We were worried about foxes. We have foxes around here, and
well, we got weasels.
Getting to them, but
I mean, we do have raccoons here and there. Yeah.
And we were thought about where we'd shut them up at night, but we have the dogs that are able to patrol this at night.
Yeah.
So we just hadn't shut them up, and we get more concerned with heat here because it gets hot in the summertime, hot and dry, and this helps a lot, keeping it a little bit cooler in here. But this is pretty good for a dozen chickens, real easy.
And they all just, well...
They usually all get on the end and huddle together, and they keep each other warm.
Yeah.
But there's room for a lot more.
Well, all the chickens fit down there.
Yeah.
And the guineas come over here.
Yeah, and the guineas, we raised the guineas in here with this bunch to stay around. They really want to get up in these trees, but we have a lot of owls in this area, and they'll come in and pick them off.
And I strung it, put chicken wire, keep them from jumping up in the tree.
But and on these slabs where they're attached to the framework, when I first started doing it, I used about 3.5 inch decking screws. But on this one, I changed and I went to 16D common nails. It's a lot faster and it's a little bit less expensive than the screws, and it works good. It's a framing nail for framing houses. The common is better than a box nail. A common nail is thicker, and it won't bend as easy on these logs. And it goes in there and it'll reach in there and get a hold of the frame good. This is real solid. It's been here for 3 or 4 years, I guess. And
still looking good.
It's holding up good.
And we did put some mud in the cracks.
Yeah, we chinked it. I've never done that before, and it doesn't really need it because I trim them on my table saw to where they'll butt up pretty good. You might get some gaps, and that's why I chinked it. But you always have to re-chink unless you go to the expense of using, commercial grade mortar of some type that you can buy for it. But I just we got dirt here, and we got
adobe dirt,
and we got grass clippings that I mixed with it, and it's just something I tried that I'd never tried before. But it doesn't really have to have it. It kind of adds to the looks of it a little bit. But that chinking, if you use modern materials, you probably don't have to mess with it if you want to go to the expense. But back a long time ago, they had to re-chink them all the time.
Yeah.
That it wasn't a permanent thing. And the simpler I can make it, the better I like it. I just want to keep the chickens safe and keep them warm and out of the weather when they're in there, and it works for that. But this is how we make them. And if you can find a sawmill in your area, then there's been a lot of individuals start up little small sawmills in this area when the government come in and kind of shut the logging industry down pretty hard several years ago. I think it was a guy named Bruce Babbitt. He was in charge of the Interior Department, at that time, and they put a lot of people out of work out in this part of the country.
They did.
Oh, well, I remember when they were doing it, they were studying a thing called some kind of owl in the forest.
Spotted owl? Or
Yeah, because they were hiring people.
I can't remember.
Spotted owl.
Spotted owl?
And so they shut the forest pretty much down on account of that.
To save the owl.
And they were, I remember they were hiring volunteers to go out and sit in the woods and watch the owls and, you know, do research on them and this
And then later, years and years and years later, they found out that spotted owl don't just live in the woods, they live out in the open too.
Yeah, they go everywhere. Anyway.
Oh, there he goes.
What is it?
A hawk. He went right down that way.
But there's a sawmill in the town all south of here a ways. It's been here since Susie's people was here in the 1800s. Her great-grandfather worked at that sawmill. He was a foreman. And it's just completely down now. They
put too much regulations on it, you know.
And it's still there, but it's just wasting away. I believe the Apache tribe bought the property, I believe, at one time, a few years ago, but they haven't done anything with it, and it's just wasting away. So anyway, these certain individuals that have bought these smaller saws that run on a track, and they do rough cut lumber. A lot of building material is used for that around here. People like the looks of it. It's kind of a rustic look. And if there's a national forest anywhere within reason, close to you, there's probably people that have these little home, you know, mom and pop sawmills that have a lot of this to sell. And we give it, you know, we get a full truckload for $15. And it's a truckload for us is to the top of the cab. It's not just in the bed, it's all the way to the top. That's a good cord of wood. And but anyway, we use that heavy, so we don't use the heavy stuff anymore because it's a lot farther to that particular sawmill. That particular one, the reason they leave so much meat on them, I think they're contracted to supply cross ties and beams that have to be a certain quality. So they cut any of the bad stuff out of them. They cut a lot of meat off the log to get a perfect beam or a cross tie. And but it's heavy.
Yeah, they're real heavy.
You can't get as much on a truck, especially when they're green. It's just too much from that 3/4 ton. It too much for the tires. And we can get quite a bit, and besides that, we're not as durable as we used to be.
No.
And it's pretty heavy to load.
Yeah.
So we usually go to this sawmill that's real close to us, within a couple of miles. This fella that we know has, and he gives me the combination to his lock and just tells me to go in there whenever I need. And it's a little bit lighter than this. So we just use it for firewood.
And we made these where the chickens can go around the chicken house whenever we get strong winds, whatever direction the wind comes in, they can go back and hide behind, get out of the wind.
And they get around there in the shade when it's real hot. There's shade back behind it. Here's the guineas coming back in. They come in and out. We let them out to free range during the day. In the afternoon, in the morning, the hawks come in pretty quick, and you got to really be careful.
Well, just like that hawk just come in.
Yeah, and they'll get them. But at night, the owls. I've been told that owls really like guineas for some reason, and we have a lot of owls in these arroyos out here to the west of us. They burrow into the side of it and raise their families, but they're pretty big. And some of them are white, actually, white owls. And
they're pretty.
They come around at night. They'll land on these telephone poles, and Ben barks at them a lot.
They howl at him.
Yeah, and But anyway, that's the story on these chicken houses. And I like to make them about 4 by 8, you know, because we have different flocks separated in case one of them starts setting. We want, you know, to keep a certain breed for that, you know, and that way we kind of seeing who does better in this part of the country. And so far, really, the best ones are the Rhode Island Reds for us, and Barred Rock, or we call them Dominickers. That they seem like they do the best in this environment here, as far as laying and good eggs.
Yeah.
But that's the story on the chicken houses. That one over there is the first one I built.
It's bigger. It's 8 by 8?
Yeah, it's 8 feet by 8 feet. And what we did, we split it in the middle, partitioned it off with chicken wire and a tarp, and on the south side of it is where we raised all these chickens from chicks. And
Yeah.
had a electricity going to it, and a heat light and a thermometer, and we kept it about 80 degrees, 80 to 90 degrees in there all the time, and even that winter. And until they got big enough, till they got about 8 to 10 weeks old, and they could, you know, pretty well take care of themselves with the weather. And then we started letting them out a little bit in their pen, but we had them separated. They had chickens in the other side of it, but they couldn't get to them. And then when the ones got big enough to turn out, well, we took all the partitions down and just let them run loose out there in that. And that's where we got one of our new gardens set up.
Yeah, and over here, Bill made a place in case the guineas or chickens want to sit. We can move them over here. We got a snake proof.
Yeah.
And there's one in here.
Yeah. We just threw this together out of pallets and a homemade kind of a door there made out of scrap wood again. And we raised the guineas in here because if you get guineas, it's best to get young ones. And because that way you can bond them to the place. Otherwise, they'll probably leave. If you get grown ones and try to take them to your house, they'll probably leave.
Over here, get out of the wind.
But that was just a kind of a temporary thing to.
Well, everybody come back in.
Guineas. Yeah.
I guess they wanted some water. Unless they seen that hawk and decide to get over here.
They might have. But that's the story on those chicken houses.
Yeah.
And I hope, you know, if somebody wants to do one, I hope you have luck with it. They're pretty simple to build. You just make a square on the bottom with your heaviest logs, your first square, and then you frame it straight up, level it, run your posts up good and level, and then just start stacking the logs on top of each other and nail them to the frame. It's real simple. It doesn't take long at all to build one. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, I can't do it.
No, you can.
Well, appreciate you stopping by. And thanks for watching Out West Homestead. We gotta go. There's a big boy waiting for us.
Yeah.
Bye.